What if Balatro was multiplayer? Well, today I wanted to find out, so I downloaded a mod by Virtualized and grabbed my friend Jake, who is also addicted to Balatro, and we tried Balatro multiplayer. The mod is quite simple. There are a few different game modes to pick from, but today we'll just be trying attrition. The way this game mode works is both players are dropped into the same seed and you both play through the first blinds normally until the boss blind, where you face off and have to beat the other player's score. You get 4 lives and each boss is replaced with a face-off, and first to lose all 4 lives loses. So this is how it went. The first small blind you play a little more careful than you normally would, so you can beat the blind in one hand, leaving you with exactly $10 and hope the other player fails to do so, because any little advantage you can get can help decide the run. On this run, we were both able to beat the first blind in one hand with the high scoring flush and moved on to the first shop. A lot of the times, if the choice is obvious, both players go for the same joker. And in this shop, it wasn't quite so obvious, but we still both decided to take bootstraps out of the buffoon pack, which gains malt for every $5 you have, and we used immolate from a spectral pack to get a head start on building up our funds. With some early malt, the big blind was easy and we moved on to the next shop before the face-off. I opted to get delayed gratification to help build up money, though I never ended up using it and decided to pass on the voucher to have a little bit of extra money for the first fight in hopes it would give me the upper hand, and moved on to the face-off with my bootstraps at 10 malt and his at 6. With both of us drawing the same card, it was enough to get me the first win, leaving Jake with 3 lives remaining. But that does give him an advantage coming up, as for each life lost, you get $4, and that combined with the extra discard voucher would put him in a better position for the next ante. But I still had lots to spend, so I purchased Seeing Double, which would give me 2x malt if you have a club card and any other suit. Jake also picked up Seeing Double along with the Scary Face Joker, and with the next 2 shops not having anything special, and us both trying to build up funds, it was time for the second face-off. With us both having very similar jokers at this point, it was a very close fight, but he did have Scary Face Joker, and it was enough to beat me out and tie up the game 1-1. The next shop was more bad news for me, as there was a Smiley Face Joker, which gives +5 malt when a face card is scored, which pairs very well with the Scary Joker. I got an Abstract Joker that would help some and get me through the small blind, which led to the next shop, which would shake things up a lot with a Spectral pack with an ante card, which duplicates a random joker and deletes all of their jokers. And it left us with a choice: duplicate bootstraps or duplicate Seeing Double. I chose bootstraps as I had never done a good run with it, and I had already built up a good amount of money, and now I had 2 of them, each giving +32 malt. Jake did not make the same choice and went for Seeing Double. So I guess we'll see which one turns out better in this next face-off. Me with 2 bootstraps and $86, or him with 2 Seeing Double along with an Abstract Joker for some base malt. And though I had a solid build for this ante, there was nothing I could do against 2 × 2 malt jokers and a 4 of a kind. In this next ante, I was looking for anything that could multiply my bootstraps, and sadly, since I couldn't spare money on rerolls, I was headed for the next fight, still with just 2 bootstraps and some extra chips. And I didn't know what I had coming, as Jake had been able to pick up the dream team of Hanging Chad and Photograph, so it was basically over for me at this point. The next face-off was no different, and even though I was able to get essentially 4 bootstraps and $200, which is the best build I've done with bootstraps, it wouldn't stand a chance against 2 portraits and 2 hanging chads. It was now 1-0 for Jake, and I would need to focus up on this next game if I wanted to tie the score. And it did not start out very serious, with the first shop offering a holographic egg, and obviously I purchased it, and it ended up being the only joker I purchased for the first ante, putting me in the first face-off with only an egg joker. Which was not quite enough, because he must have done things differently, as he scored nearly double my score. The next shop had the very first rare joker of the run, DNA, which duplicates the first played card of each round, allowing for very good deck building, and in the next blind I started building up my aces. But the next shop would change that as there was another portrait joker, meaning I would need to DNA as many face cards as I could, and with not drawing a king the next round, I decided to go for jacks. Then the next shop again changed my mind as there was a scholar, meaning I should go for face cards and aces. It was now time for the face-off, but I don't think Jake realized this as he scored a whopping 265 chips, meaning I didn't even have to use my jokers to beat it. Then, a Grim card and a Spectral pack from the next shop cemented the plan to go for ace cards. And I readied up for the next fight, but something he said changed my mind.
Oh my god.
I don't like that.
Like, there's nothing in the shop that's making you say, oh my god.
Yeah.
It's gonna leave me with just an,
You shouldn't have said, oh my god.
Did you get it too?
Yep. Thanks to his big mouth, I was now in a much better position as I had kept my egg from the start and was able to buy the blueprint without selling any of my jokers. I could now blueprint my DNA and create 2 aces each round. With this combo, I was able to build up my deck and be in a strong position for this next face-off. And it was more than enough, putting the score 2-1, and the shop right after put the odds even more in my favor with a pareidolia. This means I can go for aces and face cards at the same time, making the scholar and portrait work perfectly together. I also picked up a glass card, which can be very useful since going all in on the face-off is a good strategy for this game mode. Though I wouldn't need them for this next fight as I had a very solid build and Jake didn't quite seem like he had something put together yet. Over the next couple blinds I couldn't find anything of use and it was already time for the next face-off, which could potentially be the last as Jake was on his last life. To help me finish him off, I fished for glass cards which could significantly increase my score. I was not very confident though as he had scored 155,000 chips, but I was able to play a solid hand with a red seal and 2 glass cards, which should beat it, if I had blueprinted the right joker. So I guess I'll have to get him next time. In the next shop, I went for a very risky play and decided to sell my portrait and pareidolia for a hologram joker, which scales when you add cards to your deck, meaning it should work well with DNA, and hopefully I can level it up enough to justify my decision. The rest of the ante didn't have much, and I scaled up the hologram joker and got a hit the road, which would hopefully give me a little bit more X malt. It was now time for what was hopefully the final fight, and the score to beat was quite high at 575,000 chips. But thankfully I was able to pull all 4 of my glass cards and actually blueprinted the right joker this time, and scored over 1 million chips. And I thought the game was over, but apparently that was his warm-up hand. And on his final hand, he scored over 1.4 million chips thanks to his acrobat joker. We were now both on 1 life and headed to the final battle. The first shop of the ante gave me 2 temperance cards which gave me enough money to reroll and find a hanging Chad, which you might not think is very good with this build, but it is good with glass cards, and I had lots of them, and in the small and big blinds I made even more. It was now time for the final shop, and it had something very interesting. Inside an Arcana pack, there was a soul card which creates a random legendary joker, something that could be quite useful. But I would have to sell one of my jokers to make room, so I decided to get rid of DNA since it was the last round and it wouldn't provide much more value, and used the soul card which gave me a Chakot, a joker that disables every boss blind, which you might think is very good since every boss blind is a face-off. But sadly it doesn't work that way and I had just gotten rid of DNA for nothing. Though I still had one idea to make it useful. Did you open up the Arcana pack?
No. Is there a legendary in there?
Maybe.
You know what? I don't really even care if it's bait I'm taking now.
Thinking that there was a good legendary joker in the Arcana pack, Jake sold his Acrobat, one of his most useful jokers, and it turns out his Arcana pack didn't even have a soul card. It was now time for the final boss, and he was a joker down, and I was able to fill the slot with a Fibonacci, which was actually quite useful. But with a very good deck and some solid jokers, Jake was able to play a flush house and score nearly 30 million chips. I did not know if I could beat that, as I hadn't played a good hand in a while, so I used all of my extra hands and discards to get as many glass cards as I could, and used a death card to create a flush 5 with all glass aces.
I was also using Ballot on Hanging Cat. Wait, what does flush 5 start at?
So, thanks to him giving away the blueprint early on, and me tricking him into selling his Acrobat, I was able to squeeze out the win. Anyways, this mod was a ton of fun and very well made. It is currently in beta, but the creator is accepting playtesters, so I'll leave a link to the Discord for the mod in the description. If you made it this far, please consider subscribing, as I plan to make a lot more Balatro videos just like this one. Bye.